Could you do like the flirting and stuff? Like, would you?
Well, I'd have to talk with my wife and see how she does.
Right, but let's say like you're completely napalming your life and you're going to go be a sea rat. Right. Would you like? It just seems so exhausting.
I could. Well, Dylan, you know, it's in your 20s. I could have done this in my 20s.
Really?
Yes.
Because you seem to me like in your, when you've regaled me with stories of your past, it's always been more efficient than this kind of courting.
Well, Dylan, I mean, this is like literally like shooting fish in a barrel. You're trapped on a boat with a bunch of hotties. Come on now. And again, what is it? Lack of options. There's a quote about it. Sure. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I'd score quite a bit.
Welcome aboard. Another brand spanking new episode of another Below Deck podcast. I got to tell you, listen. Okay.
What are you going to say? Dylan brought us in these green things. What is this? I have to tell you, I typically don't indulge in this type of gluttony during the week. I save it for the weekends.
You typically don't indulge in a matcha latte?
That's
that
right.
Kind of gluttony.
Even just the name of it is fancy.
Uh-huh.
It's green.
Do you know what gluttony means?
Gluttony means I'm overdoing it on the food and enjoying myself like a pig.
Okay. Yeah, I typically don't associate gluttony with yoga mom coffees, but how are you liking it?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, do you like it?
Yeah, it tastes pretty good.
Okay. So, listen, I'm Dylan, you're Pat. We're professionals.
Welcome aboard.
We're professionals, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't dime. We don't show up late. So, most of the time, we don't show up late. But I don't know about you. I am running on absolute fumes right now. Okay. Everybody knows that we have waged a quiet war against Bravo.
It's no longer quiet, Dylan.
Can you update the fans? Because the state that I'm in right now is only due to Bravo.
Sure. Let me take the reins here, Dylan.
Yeah.
Let me put our fancy timer on first.
Yeah.
We're at war with Bravo. Bravo had been providing us screeners for a number of years. So Dylan and I get to watch the show early. Usually by Friday at 1 o'clock. We've already recorded the episode that you watch on Monday nights. It's not because we're better than you. It's just that we deserve it.
And we're not better than you, but it makes us feel better.
That's right.
Right.
Bravo has decided to rescind that little perk that they bestowed on us a number of years ago for no reason at all.
The only real... The final remaining plank of wood keeping this whole thing afloat, this entire relationship, has now sunk.
That's right, Dylan. So let me give an update. And by the way, forgive us, but there's going to be a lot of housekeeping before we start our recap of this episode. Yeah. Bravo, the gloves are off. I want you to know this right now. Dylan and I are going to be doing a number of interviews over the next 7 days with people that you're going to be very unhappy we're talking to.
Well, not 7 days, right?
Well, I know we're wrapping up Love is Blind, but I'm scheduling them.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking to people throughout the entire season.
But I really want this punch out of the gate because I want them to reconsider giving us back those screener privileges.
Patrick, I don't know why you keep coming back to the double wide where you've had bottles of whiskey thrown at your head, cigarettes put out on your forearms, undercooked food served to you on purpose. We have been in a domestically abusive relationship with this dastardly network for too long. And while growth is sometimes difficult and painful, you have to embrace it. I think that we are pirate radio moving forward. I think not only will we be happier for it, I mean, I don't think we'll be happier for it. Those creators were pretty great. But I think that the fans will like it a lot more.
Maybe. Well, so I'm going to tease this. We have 2 interviews set up already. One with a main cast member that Bravo does not want us to talk to. And then secondly, a guest or a particular a couple of guests.
Yeah.
And you're not going to like the line of questioning because it's going to be all about production.
Right.
We're going to get all the behind the scenes dirt on you. And I know how miserable that makes you.
Right.
So I will be specific about those questions to very, very drive the knife into your skin.
Very, very
F off, Bravo. The gloves are off. We are officially at war.
Yeah.
Guys, get ready for the interviews coming in the next week or so.
If you don't want to treat us like Mariah Carey, we're not going to treat you like Mariah Carey. I am so tired. And this is my morning, right? I wake up in some kind of sleep that it was so tumultuous that the pillow cover is off the pillow. Oh. I don't even know how that happened. My head just beanbagged around the pillow so much that the pillow cover came off.
Well, maybe you were so upset about this whole screener business.
Probably. I wake up, I drive to the coffee shop. Now, I got us matcha lattes, this gluttonous drink, because last week we fell into arrhythmia because we drank 4-shot vanilla lattes. You and I both agreed that was just too much coffee.
It was too much for me. I was wired all day long, Dylan.
Right. So I got the matchas today. Now, when you saw them and when you tasted it, you said, "Is there caffeine in this?" Mm-hmm. And then you said, "I'm going to go get some Splendas."
That's right.
You dump the Splendas into the matcha latte, and you got to go to YouTube to watch this. You are now drinking it out of a orange.
Kids love straws, Dylan. We have lots of straws.
Do kids love straws?
They love straws. I like a straw too.
So that's where we're at this morning. Well, I left my...
Does it have caffeine in it?
A good amount, yeah.
Okay, good.
If you drink that at 3 or 4 o'clock, you will not go to bed until 2 or 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Japanese caffeine, you know. It's a quiet, composed caffeine, and before you know it, you're driving the tip of a katana into your fucking intestines. So anyways, I left my phone at my apartment, drove back, was accosted by my neighbor's evil Yorkshire Terrier. I almost kicked it. But that would have made the day. I can't start off by trying
abusing an animal.
Well, standing my ground. But we don't dime. We don't rat. We perform. We're professionals. We have to get into the show right now before we do. If you're enjoying Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. We're just wrapping up. An amazing season. The casting directors on that show should be put in jail for putting the female cast members, their lives at risk.
If they were doing this show in the 1930s, the Third Reich would have paid attention and said, we need to get them on our team.
That's right.
They're diabolically evil people.
Well, we're just wrapping up. I think they got 3 more episodes left. Just enough time for you guys to go sign up at patreon.com/another podcast network and hear our coverage over there. We're also covering Real Housewives of Salt Lake City behind a paywall. And then next week, we will start our Another Podcast show and PMC launches again. Forgive us for having to sideline those for a minute. We're just doing 14 podcasts a week at this point. Mm-hmm. See, I can't even talk.
You can see what it's doing.
Yeah, I can't talk.
All right. Episode 2.
Episode 2. Some more housekeeping, Dylan. As you know, the listeners, they provide us with lots of like inside Bravo stuff. They're out scouring the internet to see what these sea rats are up to. Mm. Gary King in particular.
Yeah.
Is very upset with this season. Can you believe it? He is posting on his Instagram, which is typically a big no-no of talking about production.
I'm just happy he's watching it.
I am too. I almost slid into the comments and said, glad to see you're watching this season, Gary King. Yeah. But I didn't because I thought it was petty. Anyway, he posted last night.
Yeah, I am dead this morning. You are a live wire.
Well, you got me on this matcha. Gary King posted to his Instagram, sad to see this has all been edited out of tonight's episode. Scary how one person's lies can ruin someone's career and livelihood. And what Gary posted a picture of is him dressed up in that, what was it? I don't know, the sexy lingerie party.
Batwing thing.
Whatever. He says, oh, well, my head is held high. As I know... Excuse me, I'm moving the picture here. As I know the truth, karma will get you anyways, seeing as most of me will probably be edited out this season. I will post, I'm just reading as he wrote it,
okay,
as much as possible to show you all what you're missing out on. Oh, wow, yeah, I really needed some more B-roll of you dancing around in that ridiculous shirt of yours.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what he's talking about.
I'll show you. It's that when they all dressed up like that. He thought that there should have been more B-roll because he's so hilarious. Gary, I know there's sexual allegations against you. and forgive me as audience members, let's say he wasn't accused of that.
Sure.
The audience is still sick of you. It's not just that. We're tired of you on our television screens. We want you off this show. Casting made a horrible mistake. And Dylan, I've done a little research myself. The Below Deck world, the Barnacles, are really unhappy that Daisy and Gary are here. I'm sorry, Daisy, I'm lumping you in there too. And all these scenes.
Daisy's not Gary, but Daisy is Daisy, and we don't want her.
I'm sorry. I'm sure you're a nice person, but I don't care about you and Gary's relationship. This is the second episode where we have multiple scenes of you guys trying to work through your differences. No one gives a fuck. Hey, Bravo, I know you production people. A couple of you have reached out. Listen to Old Patty. Save the show. Edit Gary out as much as possible, and any scenes with him and Daisy talking to each other, just edit it out. We don't care. This is why we're here.
Yeah.
Captain Glenn, you're amazing. All the captains can stay. You got to interchange these people. No one is too big for the show. We want to see, as Dylan coined this phrase a number of years ago, and it's brilliant. We want to see incompetence thrust upon the wealthy. That's the best part of the show. All the sea rats hooking up. I always like the new stories coming out. Gary and Daisy, your storylines are tired and old, and they should be retired.
Yeah, it's like it's watching Daisy and Gary is a little bit like, you know, that show How Does This Get Made on like whatever.
Yeah,
it's like if they did that for like the Score bar, you know, it's like nobody eats that.
No,
nobody wants to know how did that happen.
Yeah,
it's like I don't have Score bars. Why is it spelled SKOR? You know,
great example.
What's that?
Sometimes they're like, "Hey, watch us make a hammer." Well, I think I know how they put a hammer together. But anyway, yeah.
Oh, can I spill some? We'll get into the episode. I need to suck down some of this matcha. I need to get some nicotine in me, and then I'll be alert and alive.
Okay,
But can I say really quickly? Can I?
Please.
2 things of dirt that the fans have given us. One of them being my wife. She's a fan.
Oh.
Not of the show, just of us. She doesn't listen to a second of it.
It's nice to have your wife be a fan of something you do.
Yeah. She's a fan. She said that Lee was asked.
Oh, yes. Lee getting in the mud.
Go ahead, take it away.
And Queen of the Sea, Kate, getting in the mud, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's taking Captain Sandy's side. So Captain Lee, because he's irrelevant and an old fucking fuddy-duddy with nothing to do but stare at a fucking wall all day, he was asked at one of those ridiculous hang out with Captain Lee and smoke a cigar nights.
The same people that are paying for those are Score bar eaters.
That's right.
You know, it's like, what are you doing?
Well, some people showed up to this, and one of the questions was, who's your least favorite Below Deck cast person?
Yeah.
And he said Captain Sandy.
Yep.
Okay, she's way better than you one-dimensional old fuck. At least
better.
she's growing as a person. You are who you are, and no one likes you. Right. Anyway, Kate thought that was pretty petty of him to do that, and she posted accordingly on her Instagram. I don't have the direct quote.
Interesting.
Other piece of business.
Yeah, the other piece of business is, listen, I can't stand Daisy, okay? I think that the audience gets gaslit by the show a little bit into not recognizing that she's, like, kind of shitty. But Daisy evidently had to. They filmed this show a couple of days after the reunion. The reunion wherein Gary took no accountability, said he didn't watch the show even though he did, gaslit a little himself. So within that context, I understand why Daisy is, a Roman candle right out of the gate, right? Bravo, help your cast out a little bit. Can you let us know that this was a couple days after the reunion, or do you want us to just think that she's pissed for no fucking reason?
So there's some theories out there, and we will get to the recap. There's a theory out there that they were already invested in this, and they had to film it anyway. And what they've done over the last year was hide the show from us to make us think that Gary had been, in fact, edited out, or he'll be fired in the next episode. But he's here to stay, at least for this season. He got fired after the filming of this season. Gary posted about it, by the way. It was him laying in a patch of daisies saying that he'd finally fallen out of the sky and he was okay with it, whatever the fuck.
Dude, it's so sad self-importance is such a gross, we fall into it too, but you can't post that picture. You can't see a field of daisies and go, oh, this would be a perfect metaphor for my announcement of why I was terminated from Below Deck Sailing Yacht.
Yeah.
So pathetic.
If you don't mind, one more swing at Daisy before we move into
and we love everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I will say, again, Bravo doesn't want us talking about this. We've talked to multiple sea rats that have worked with Gary and Daisy. They're a little too big for their britches. And I get it. Their names come up first when the show starts. This is their third or fourth season. Yeah. You start to get this feeling, especially as you get all these like Instagram deals and all this stuff outside of this. Then you're like, oh, I got to go on that boat and pretend like I'm a sea rat again.
Yeah.
You are a sea rat.
You are a sea rat. But you always will be a sea rat.
But you can see it with Gary. I mean, just this episode crashing that boat with the hot girl on there.
Sure.
He's more worried about being filmed than he was navigating through rocks. Daisy.
Yeah, you
really
know, I've always been a very confident person.
Yeah, right. And Daisy's busy looking at her Instagram rather than serving people, paying customers on this show. Clearly, they're out of it. Sorry, I'm a broken record. Time to go.
Okay.
All right, last piece of business. There's some name issues here for old Patty.
Definitely.
So I workshopped a couple. I'm going to call Emma, who is kind of doesn't like to really interact with people. She's kind of a loner.
Don't call her Big Ben.
No, I'm going to call her Emma Lone. You know, like Emma Stone, Emma Alone.
That's horrible.
All right. How about this one? The David D or whatever. I can't figure his name out. I'm just going to call him Divide.
No, that's horrible.
All right.
You workshop these?
I'm workshopping these. I got to make them so I can remember the people's names.
It's Daffodil is fine.
Daffodil.
Daffodil is fine.
All right. That's a keeper then.
That's a keeper.
All right. Then that weirdo.
Yeah. I mean, and weirdo's not bad. I'm weird.
That's right.
People think I have autism when they meet me at first, you know? So there's nothing wrong with weird, but let's get it straight. Daffodil is weird.
That's right.
We'll get to his sea rat history in a little bit. What did he say?
I love ecstasy.
Me too.
Hey, what'd you do this weekend? Met a guy, married him. Oh, I didn't know you went that way. Well, it was all the ecstasy. Drugs make you do things.
I mean, when I was on quad stacks of ecstasy, I was on people's shoulders in front of David Guetta.
That's right.
I would never get on somebody's shoulders at a concert. It's ridiculous.
Well, did you marry him?
In a sense, yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to get started.
All right. Let's get into our pots. Do we want to apologize for taking so long to get in the episode? I don't think we need to.
No, we had so much housekeeping we had to clean up there. And I think the audience enjoys it.
Love is Blind, patreon.com, Salt Lake City, patreon.com. Okay, so pots for this episode. I will give this episode 90 pots. I thought it was a really fun episode. I think that Dr. Contessa and the Married to... I'm sorry, I don't watch
her husband's
television.
Dr. Scott.
Okay. They were so fun, so lovely. They could have been meaner. They were not mean. And that's usually not a recipe for a good group of guests. But usually you have like chuggy old Floridian whites who are doing that. These people are actually living it up. They're staying at the Ibiza, and they're having a lot of fun.
I can't believe what they did to these people.
What do you mean?
Dinner service. Well, we'll get to it. Dinner service like that.
What do you mean? The proteins? The first dinner service?
Okay. Why don't we just get started here? I'm sorry. I love the episode.
I'm going to give it 90 pots.
Okay. I'm going to give it 100 pots. Okay. So, Dylan, what I'm referring to is we begin the episode with half the charter guests wrapping up their meal as Dr. Scott awaits his steak that was overcooked. And Daisy proudly walks into the dining area and announces to Dr. Scott, he cooked a new one. Well, Daisy, he either cooked a new one or Chef Cloyce owns a time machine and went back in time and didn't overcook the first one. What a stupid fucking pronouncement to me.
We had some fans that were like, this is on Cloyce. How do you not cook? Like, do you have any idea how difficult it is to cook 4 different proteins at 3 or 4 different temperatures and have them all land at the same time? One person doing that. It is impossible to do that. Daisy is the one that put him in that position. And Cloyce makes it even worse. Yeah, I got to say, just in pots, this kid is he's 22, right? So he's a young man. He's an absolute dork. He's absolutely cringeworthy, but he's providing a lot of entertainment this season. I like Cloyce.
If he doesn't get fired, I see big things for him in this
he'll get
franchise.
Fired. Yeah, he'll get fired.
Can I tell you one misstep that he made?
Going up and announcing what dinner was.
Yeah.
We know what dinner is.
Well, he announces what it is. You're like, oh, well, you ate all yours already, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The dinner that 6 of you and not 8 of you have consumed this evening was steak and lobster. So have a nice meal. So yeah, dinner. The first dinner was an absolute train wreck. And Cloyce, don't do that. You have to hide. After that happens, just hide.
That's
okay?
right.
So Gary goes to pick up the dancer, and there are rocks. More on that later. She's very hot, and Gary is very Gary. So
That's right.
he's going to crash the boat.
Oh, yeah. They cut to him edit. Thank you, production. When he was up in the galley, when she arrives, they got a close up of him checking her ass out.
Yeah.
He's a pig.
He's a pig.
Okay, can I do it meanwhile?
Yes, of course.
Meanwhile, we get a little C-Rat history on Captain Glenn. And what I didn't know was he was Mr. Carter from Welcome Back, Carter. Probably you're
It's
a little
Cotter.
Carter with a K. Kotter. Carter. Did you know everyone on that cast is dead except for John Travolta?
Well, I could assume. And John Travolta's dead too.
No, well, yeah.
When you get that embedded into the Church of Scientology, I think Miscavige like rips your soul out and keeps it in like his balls or something. And then that's why Travolta's so weird now.
Yeah. You get weird as you get old too, Dill.
Not like that. Did you have more meanwhile?
Oh, I misspoke. Gabe Kaplan, who played Mr. Kata, he's still alive too. He hosts poker on the Game Show Network.
How do you know that?
I've seen him on it.
You watch the Game Show Network?
Occasionally. Helps me go to sleep at night. It's either that or the Food Network.
What do you watch on the Game Show Network?
I watch poker.
Is this celebrity poker?
No, just random people.
Okay. So yeah, Captain Glenn culturally appropriated in the 1960s and 70s, as most white Americans did.
My dad did.
Really?
Yeah, there's pictures of him with the same hair as Captain Glenn.
Wow.
They called them perms.
Yeah. It's crazy to do that, like, so I'm not trying to get all political, but like, to do that so close to the wake of the Civil Rights Movement, that's pretty crazy.
The 70s were a wild time.
Wild time. And the thing about that perm or that afro is Glenn could easily conceal his blades in it. That's when he began to bloodlet horse.
That's right.
Yep. So we get to Danny, who loves male attention. And we get some C-Rat history with her.
I can cover this.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, she was a Chubba Wubba, and then she got a Planet Fitness membership, and now she's an attention-starved C-Rat, to be continued.
To be C. She said that she was a cheerleader and that she went from, did you say Chubba Wubba?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fatty Boom Batty. She went from being not happy with her body image to being a cheerleader. I can't get over you drinking out of an orange straw.
Yeah. By the way, this makes me remember when I used to be on drugs. Pretty high right now. What do they put in this thing?
It's Kratom.
Nice.
Do you remember when you were doing Kratom for a while?
Yeah.
They call it, what is it, gas station oxy?
Actually, it's just a watered down version of heroin. Hey, if they sell it at a hookah store, how bad could it be, right?
Really bad. They sell Galaxy gas at hookah stores. You know what Galaxy gas is?
No.
It's nitrous oxide.
Wow.
I walked into a head shop. I was like, do you guys have Zins? He's like, no, they're banned. I was like, you have $10,000 worth of nitrous oxide. He's like, well, it's not banned. Yeah. Rules and regulations are so funny.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, getting back to male lover, Danny, the male lover. She said that she became a cheerleader and that she went from not loving herself to having tens of thousands of adoring fans screaming for her. They weren't screaming for you.
There was a team behind.
There was a sport being played, so it had nothing to do with you. I mean, I don't even think I think the Dallas cheerleaders and the Laker girls are really the only cheerleading squads that get cheered for. I think pretty much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe places in Texas A&M games or something. I don't know.
Hey,
Dylan,
let me cast a line here. Danny, if you're listening, Dylan and I would love to have you on. You do not need to go through Bravo pre-up PR. Just hit me up in the DMs. We'll have you on.
Yeah, I mean, you might get fired, but...
They already filmed the season last year. How could you possibly get fired now?
Good point. So the dancer arrives and the guys get into some women's clothing. Gary has some serious trouble getting this on. He is mentally handicapped?
No, he loves attention. That's you see kids.
How do you not get this shirt on?
It's not that. It's when you have children, you understand when they want attention, they act out things like that. Right. That's Gary because his brain, he's arrested development. We're dealing with a 14-year-old here.
Right.
He wants attention of the cameras and people around him.
Got it.
Yeah, that's why he needs to be off my television.
Okay, so we do some... This dancer was... Forgive me, but I don't want to do a class on vacation. Especially when I'm drunk after a poorly timed, sequence of dinner.
Yeah.
We get to everybody gather around. I'm going to show you how to sexy walk. It's like, this isn't the kind of dancing that, that's always what I was meaning. But the best part of this entire evening is Daffodil, who really works his way into the personal space of the dance instructor on the teak. And we get a little sea-rat history.
That's right.
With Daffodil.
Yeah, he's quite the free spirit, self-proclaimed free spirit. Went to a music festival or one of those things. Anyway, he ended up marrying a guy. And now they're Facebook friends.
Right. What is his accent?
No clue.
It's like he's a child of the cosmos. He has every single accent in the world in one man with massive forearms and orc hair.
I'm telling you, Dill, I mentioned this in the first podcast. They must have been really hard up for casting people this season because typically someone like Daffodil, again, they'd be below the boat. You just throw them scraps of meat at the end of the day to keep them, sustain them, you know what I mean?
Well, he is being thrown scraps of meat and cold potatoes down there, but when he does get any kind of vitamin D, I think that he shines.
Oh, yes. He's a free spirit.
It's like that guy that did the pommel horse at the Olympics that couldn't see. He was only good at one thing, right? Keep him in the dungeon. When we need him to do the pommel horse, we'll bring him up for air, So Gary has to take the pretty dancer girl home, and while talking about his confidence, there was this rock that just jutted out of the water and jumped at the boat. He didn't see it. And listen, she is beautiful.
Oh, yes.
But I don't know. Well, he's going so fast and it's so dark out.
Okay, so I don't want to sound like alarmist is the wrong word, but okay. Wait a minute. I'll get to that point. What he does to that boat and how that's dealt with in the next couple minutes of the show just blows my mind.
Yeah.
They forget about the safety once they're on this show. And I've seen this play out with Captain Lee where he almost got a cast member's leg ripped off. He's like too busy on it playing Candy Crush or whatever the hell Captain Lee was doing.
Captain Lee, the first season we ever had with Captain Lee, he did fire drills every day. Every episode there was a fire drill. Like the behavior of a genuine psychopath making these people do that. And then fast forward, he's just taking dumps and milking himself on the toilet, playing Candy Crush, and people's legs are getting ripped.
And don't forget, he's a drunk. Multiple sea rats reported to us they'd always find empty bottles of booze in his trash.
Allegedly.
He's a public figure. I can say anything I want about him.
No, you can't. You can't defame people, especially people who are, pretty desperate.
It's true.
If you're gonna sue anybody, just sue Pat. I mean, we always say it, but if you're gonna sue, just sue Pat. He has hard assets that you can get.
That's true.
Anyway, So the safety's gone out the window. You are really carrying us right now. I got to apologize. I'm dead on my feet.
No, I feel like I'm a little too amped up with this drink that you gave me.
Do you like it now?
Yeah, I really like it. I'd like to have one delivered every Tuesday. I don't expect that, but if you did, I'd feel pretty good about it. Living my best life right now.
You want a matcha every Tuesday?
Well, no, maybe switch it up. Maybe whatever you brought last week, just cut it in half as far as the
You want me to cut it in half? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you want the same size?
Yeah.
So you just want a lot of milk?
No, it's caffeine too.
Okay. So I love that it's just on Emma now. Once he gets back to the boat and he tells Glenn, it's on Emma. He's like, keep an eye out for it. What? How am I supposed to know? How the fuck is she supposed to know if it gets an inch lower or 2 inches lower in the dead of night in the middle of the fucking ocean?
Okay. I want to point this out because Gary reports this to Captain Glenn. I assume that this is the procedure that you have to go through.
Right.
And I really like Captain Glenn a lot. He's probably one of my favorite captains, aside from Captain Carey. How can you have...
Where does Captain Jason land on that list?
He's right at the middle mark.
Is Sandy above Jason?
They're fighting for fourth, I think.
I think Sandy wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying her because you see her growing as a manager. Yeah. And I think she's finding a nice balance between thinking she's hot shit and then also having to pretend that she drives
Yeah, now that Lee hates her, we love her.
Yeah. Sometimes if we both have the same enemy, we might just be friends.
Right.
All right. So Gary reports this to Glenn. And Glenn, I get it. He's tired, long day.
Mm-hmm.
The procedure in my mind should have been, if that tender could sink and they're out in the middle of the ocean at night, let's say it's a confluence of bad events. The actual boat catches fire. What is your way out of there? I know you do have to think down the line with these maritime concerns. So you have a sinking tender, so there's no way out. It's like not having enough lifeboats on the Titanic. Titanic goes down.
Yeah.
Everyone fucking dies.
Right.
Procedure should have been, Glenn, get your ass out of bed and take that boat back to dock because you don't know if you have a plan B.
Sure.
Am I over the top here?
I think you're a little over the top.
Okay.
So
hit me up. Let me know if I'm right.
We last left off with, that was the top of my notes section. So let's get to the next day. Gary's got to get video of the damage, and the damage is only cosmetic, thankfully. How is that only cosmetic? It looks horrible.
Well, I learned a little bit. So if I guess they have inner tubes that are built inside the framing of the boat. So even when there's structural damage on the outside, it will still float.
Okay. It feels like it could seep into the gut. It's like foam core in there. It's like it seeped into the guts of the whole thing and make it all wet and stinky.
Well, at this point, if the inner tube thing, for lack of a better term, gets punctured, now you're fucked.
Right. So we have O Beach to get to. Okay.
I loved this part of the show.
Yeah, it was an amazing part of the show. Daisy says that day drinking is better than night drinking. Get me in bed by 9 o'clock. I've always hated day drinking because day drinking comes with an expectation that you're not going to bed at 9. For me, every day drinking situation I've been in is we're starting at 3 and we're going all night. Mm-hmm. And I hate that. I'm not capable of doing that. So I've always hated day drinking. But if you know that you're getting into bed at 7 and you're asleep by 9, get in the comments, let us know. Do you like day? I think that's my preferred way to do it.
I have thoughts. Even as a young person, Dylan, remember when you're 22, 23, you're supposed to be, you can go 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
You need cocaine.
Exactly. So many trips to Vegas where we go, the group of guys or whatever say, we're going to party by the pool all day.
Yeah.
And then tonight we're going out to this stupid club or whatever.
Yeah, and I've done that, and it's hard, but you have cocaine, so it's fine.
Okay, but if you don't, you have to pick. You're either going to party during the day or party during night. You cannot do both.
No.
Because I've seen people struggle for everyone to start hopping in the showers at 8:30 after they've been drinking since 1. And then everyone's miserable. Then when you go out to have this party mode thing at a club or
dinner's quiet, it's not fun. Everybody's just fatigued.
They would rather have their head on a pillow at that given time. You got to pick. And my preference still, because I'm old now, there's nothing better than some mimosas during the day, knowing, in our case, if we have Lupita around.
You're going to get some nachos. And you're
get some nachos, and my head will hit the pillow at 8 o'clock. I'll start fresh the next day all over again. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
But when you're in Las Vegas, give me night every time over day. What are you going to go to a beach club in the middle of the day and fucking hang out?
It's hotter because all the girls are in the bikinis. You're still partying.
Yeah, but how are you going to have sex? You have to get into the night to sex. You're not going to sex in the day.
You never had sex during the day?
Well, I've had sex during the day with monogamous partners.
I guarantee at this Ibiza club, there are more people sneaking out to go find some bushes or something to have at it with one another.
It's too carnal. It's too carnal for me.
I love a Vegas beach club party.
Ugh, God. It's just piss-soaked pools. There's piss everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, Harry Boy and Danny. He's a relationship guy, this guy Keith, and he's ready to roll. He's not the right person to be hitting on. I think that he's a little bit turned off by Danny, but she will wear him down eventually.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that she'd be attracted to him. I'm not saying he's not a good-looking guy, but this is one of those situations where just the lack of options on an enclosed area of where there are young people that would like to have sex, he is a benefactor of that.
Well, and it's the same goes with her. I mean, he's slipping into the Stockholm syndrome of sea rats. Now, I'm not saying that he's turned off by her, but he's just not that kind of guy. He's a little bit of a prude. And when you say that it's a Stockholm syndrome thing, it is, but remember that she's into all men above 6 out of 10.
That's right.
All men.
Let me tell you something. When you have no standards, the field is open.
And you've been in bouts like that before in your
course.
life, right? And everybody deserves love, so that's the right place to be. You don't want to be too persnickety about who you're fucking. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So the guests wake up. They're really nice. They invite the sea rats to the beach, and Danny and Deanna begin to do some cleaning. And Danny says she wants to. I just want to fuck. And Danny goes, "Why are you like this?"
Are we going to call her Diana or Deanna? I feel like we should be consistent.
Oh, you think we should be consistent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at me.
Deanna. We get to O Beach, and the South African guy is immediately accosted.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. Did I skip over something?
Well, no, I just want to make sure, because was this where, is it Danny? Oh, no, it was Diana, where she talks about...
Deanna.
We're going to call her that.
Okay. We can call her the spy, too.
We can call her the spy. Well, no. I was going to say...
Are you okay?
Sorry, no, I'm looking through my notes, because at some point she kind of... She shares with us that she has her sights on bigger things in her life. I guess we'll cover that in a minute.
Captain Glenn.
Maybe.
So, Cloyce comes from England. The name comes from England. And Daisy says that he's overconfident and not her type, which means that they'll probably hook up in, 6 episodes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may be too young, though. Women that are in their mid-20s, they're very turned off by guys that are even
mid-30s?
Mid-20s, forgive me. I'm just saying, when I was 22, I was out of luck with girls in their mid-20s. They wanted guys in their early 30s.
Daisy is not in her mid-20s.
Oh, I wasn't talking about... I was talking that potentially he may have a shot with Deanna or Danny as well, but he doesn't have a shot with them.
Okay, but...
I know you were talking about Daisy. And
right, but does he have a shot with Daisy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, dude, these 9 o'clock recordings are tough.
I'm loopy, man.
I mean, all right. So swimsuits need to get to the beach. We get to the beach. We're partying.
I have thoughts on this.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell these guys were thinking. First off, their beautiful wives looked killer in their little scantily clad bikinis. Very hot.
Yeah, you're very into Dr. Contessa and Darpan.
I love Dr. Contessa. Well, anyway, I was thinking, who the fuck shows up to a beach club with a pool without your trunks? It's like showing up to a goddamn orgy without lube or something.
Yeah. If you're
Ouch, my asshole hurts.
Yeah, if you're going to show
Darn, I forgot the lube.
Yeah.
Anybody got some lube I can borrow?
If you're gonna
I'll just grab some off your asshole if you don't mind.
And thank you. I tried to interrupt so many times because I knew where that was going, right? We were in a warehouse in Sun Valley with stained mattresses everywhere, so I knew that it couldn't be good. but you plowed forward. And then you ran over Jeremy Renner's leg. So Gary is woken up, and he says that all that happens on this boat is that he gets woken up, and he's bossed around by Daisy.
Oh, yes.
Gary, this has nothing to do with Daisy. This is not Daisy's fault, okay? This is a shitty situation. It's part of Sea Rat life, okay? You are at the beck and call of the wealthy, okay?
That's right.
Get up, go drive to O-Town, and give them their swimsuits.
Instead, he has a sig with Emma alone.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, he drops the swimsuits off. Then we get to this swap out thing. Excuse me. And the guests want to party at the beach club, right?
Love it. I would too. And I have to give many props to their stamina.
Me too.
They've been drinking since 1 and they still have their shit together. Not to get ahead of myself, at dinner.
Yeah.
Way to go. That is responsible alcoholism right
Absolutely. Absolutely. But because they want to stay at the, I'm always amazed at the lack of patience that these sea rats have. Which it just goes to show you that this is not the cream of the crop, right? So if you're on super yachts and there's a Russian oil baron and his children, Grigoria, Nikolai, and Alexei, they've killed people before, right? Mm-hmm. And it's been swept under the rug, right? They're at O-Town and they want to party. The cream of the crop in service know that these 3 little murderers are going to want to stay there all day, all night, right? And there's no complaining about it. It's part of the job. For Daisy, Gary, and Co. to be like exhausted that these people want to stay at this club for more than 4 hours is like, it's just so below deck.
Kate Chastain, Queen of the Sea, she knew how to play this game well. She'd want them to stay there until it gets pitch dark out, knowing they're going to come back to the boat and pass the fuck out. Kate Chastain said one of the little tricks, too, is you sneak in their cabins while they were getting ready for bed and close all the curtains so there was no light to awaken them.
Sure.
Now, there is a downside to day drinking, Dylan, which is the waking up like a bear out of hibernation at midnight and demanding food.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. And you've seen these bears coming out of the dens once spring hits.
That's right.
They're very dangerous, and they're very tired. They're very hungry. Now, get in the comments. Let us know. I mean, I was confused about how out of line or in line Daisy was here, because to me, Daisy should know that this could possibly take a while. I don't know if this is an interior thing or an exterior thing. I land on the side of Daisy because, as is evidenced by Gary and Emma alone. Emma alone?
Emma alone, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Emma alone.
Maybe we'll shorten it Emma alone.
It's the worst nickname you've ever come up with.
Okay.
And you've come up with some brilliant ones and some stinkers. This is the stinkiest.
I'm gonna put it on the shelf for now. We're just gonna call her Emma, okay?
Emma, let us know what nickname you would like to call us, okay? It can't just be Emma, okay? So it's evidenced by him just sitting around smoking cigs and being told that he can't behave like a child by the person with the lowest amount of experience on the boat, that he has plenty of time on his hands. And so does the deck crew. So I think this is one of those situations where they can lend a helping hand. But tonight is 90s theme. Okay. Everybody gets back to the boat. Immediately faceplant.
Yeah.
Immediately faceplant.
Yeah.
But Cloyce has to prep for a 90s themed dinner, which evidently means we're doing Thai.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 90s cuisine is, for me personally, you can go one of two ways, right? Lunchables, right?
Pizza from Chuck E. Cheese.
Pizza from Chuck E. Cheese. Sizzler was at their zenith in the 90s, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Dorsey affair, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A lot of shit with mandarin oranges in it.
Yeah.
But Thai makes no sense.
No Thai.
Thai makes not a single lick of sense.
No, it doesn't. And you know what else doesn't make sense still? Deanna shares with us kind of her history. I'm not going to call it Sea Rat history. But she does share with us that she's been cleaning piss off toilets for 5 years. And at this point in her life, she's ready to set the world on fire. And her goal is to launch upward in the stratosphere. Her intention to eventually make lemon drop shots and try and remove napkins that are stuck to dry surfaces.
Now, listen.
I thought she was going to say she wanted to be a senator.
Now, only bloodthirsty lizard people want to be senators, right? But I like Deanna. Now, we've mocked people in the past. I can't remember her name. We had her on the show. She was hilarious. I think Lara.
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 Oh, she's great. Yeah.
Who was so great, so fun, and she was overwhelmed when she got the lead deckhand position. Now, we mocked her for having a dream so close to floor level, and the sea rats often do because the ceiling is literally. I mean,
you can touch it with your hair.
You can touch it with your hair. So I want Deanna. We should just call her Dina. I want Dina to explode through the glass ceiling like the Willy Wonka glass ceiling. Yes. But for right now, she would like to make a jump from cleaning shit streaks off of the toilet bowl and, onto serving lemon drop shots. And we want that for her. So.
Sky's the limit.
Not really. Cloyce says that he is not going to be the first person to get fired, and the camera zooms in on him, which I don't know if that's something to throw us off the scent. But
it's a lofty goal, by the way.
I think that Cloyce is going to get fired. So the guests get ready for dinner, but first, Keith and Danny have a bit of bants, and Keith says, jokingly, that she was punching. Okay.
A punchy or punching?
Punching.
Okay.
Now, this means she was punching above her weight class. This is a South African way of talking.
It's an insult, though.
It's an insult.
Also a little jealousy there, clearly.
Clearly. But...
is my hand supposed to start shaking?
Yeah, pretty right about now. I think that's the Splenda, though. So, here's the thing with Danny. You can't be a bro and also be a deeply insecure former boom baddie who is deeply insecure and can fly off the handle at really anything that strikes too close to home without you having any awareness that it's striking too close to home and then spiraling off into a psychic panic, right? But on Keith, he should know that this is not okay to say to somebody who is very clearly
his only option?
The thing that I just laid out.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So you know that if somebody is this voraciously obsessed with male attention, there's going to be some landmines.
Oh, yeah.
And don't step on them.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he does. His calf is back at O-Town. I mean, it's been blown off. Blown off.
Yeah, and the audience doesn't care that we skipped over her flirting with that service director the entire day.
Yeah, I said he was accosted, yeah. But meanwhile, well, no. Let's get to dinner. Thai curry with sweet potato. Cloyce goes up there and really whites the place up.
With this wrapping.
With the wrap. He heads up there, has a shot with them, and says, "Can I wrap for you guys?" Now, I think that we have probably waded into progressive waters that make everybody uncomfortable. Right. And it's very clear that people of color aren't as sensitive as everybody thinks they
were. They were insulted with Eminem.
You think they were?
And the Beastie Boys. But they broke through. It's open for Cloyce to make a fool out of himself.
But is it okay for a little white child to come up and go, "Hey, group of very successful black people, can I rap for you?" I think it's a little weird, but they loved it. They had a great time with it, and Cloyce is unbelievably embarrassing. But he secured the $15,000 tip. We'll get to it. Now, we get to a meanwhile. Danny is grossed out by cleaning showers. What about the shit?
It's a great point. It's a great point.
What about the piss and shit? I know that hair is gross, but feces is way grosser.
That's right.
Cloyce is good at magic, obviously, and Daisy is pissed for some reason. I can't even remember. But we get to the final day. you know how you always talk about abandoning your life and children to go on this show and becoming a C-Rap? Mm-hmm. Could you do like the flirting and stuff? Like, would you?
Well, I'd have to talk with my wife and see how she does.
Right, but let's say like you're completely napalming your life and you're going to go be a C-Rap, right? Would you like? It just seems so exhausting.
I could. Well, Dylan, you know, it's in your 20s. I could have done this in my 20s.
Really?
Yes.
Because you seem to me like in your, you know, when you've regaled me with stories of your past, it's always been more efficient than this kind of courting.
Well, Dylan, I mean, this is like literally like shooting fish in a barrel. You're trapped on a boat with a bunch of hotties. Come on now. And again, what is it? Lack of options. There's a quote about it. Sure. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I'd score quite a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the guest. The guests depart. They were incredible, and I think Daffodil fixes the tender at some point.
Yeah,
the tip. Let's get to it. Pat, take it away.
All right, so let's keep track of this tip because we saw this play out in the season of Mediterranean. The tip was consistently $20,000. I believe the tip for this season will be $15,000. This tip is $15,000. Completely unearned. $1,500 each. I rounded up.
So Cloyce gets shit for the first dinner from Glenn. And I know that I'm probably like, you know, on Daisy a little bit too much, but it's stunning to me that Daisy takes no accountability or no blame for this at all.
No.
It's just on Cloyce. It's wrong.
I agree.
Daisy's the one that turned the boat into Dupars, okay?
She did. And Glenn, shame on you. You know I love you, and I always think you give good feedback. You said, and I quote, regarding the lovely guests, they were a handful. No, they weren't.
No, they weren't.
They were easy as pie. What the fuck are you talking about?
So we hit the town while Glenn eats a pear like a turtle and learns Spanish. Cloyce dresses like a magician and says that Daisy would make a great wife. He's already got the Stockholm Syndrome with her. I don't know how he could possibly think that... Anyways, I'm not saying that Daisy wouldn't make a great wife, but given the first day, I don't know how you could say that about, like, if somebody had stabbed me in the back and said, why'd you stab yourself in the back? I would not think that they'd be a great partner.
No, absolutely not.
But he is smitten. Now, Danny is still pretty pissed about the punching thing.
Get over it.
We got to move on at some point. And we end with more days of our C-Rat Lives conversation with Daisy and Gary.
Yeah, she says she's not going to babysit him this year. Yeah, and you shouldn't because no one cares. Bravo, please edit them out.
But also she says, you're either going to be on my side or I'm going to throw you under the bus at every chance I get, which is like very intense. And again, it's 3 days after the reunion, so I can understand the emotional insanity of the whole thing, but... Edit them out of the show.
Edit them out.
Okay. Guys, the season is starting. It's episode 2. We need you to get into the iTunes ratings and reviews. Those have dried up. I know that people aren't used to it. It's on Spotify's and people don't leave reviews as often as they used to in the earlier days of podcasting, but it helps the show out immensely. Get in the iTunes ratings and reviews. Leave 5 stars, kind words. Join us at patreon.com for Love is Blind, Salt Lake City, and more. That's patreon.com/another podcast network. Follow us on YouTube, social, all that stuff. I'm Dylan saying goodbye. Pat, say goodbye.
Later, dudes!